เห็นแล้วเจ้า
สบายดีทุกคนอีกเทื่อนึงเนาะ
So good afternoon once again. So I've been visited many presentations. So now we have my team is composed of 3 people: myself, Mong Somkiet, and Nang Kananya. So we're going to present this project. So the project is about the preservation of pok patterns of Luang Prabang. Before we go into the other aspect, I would like to present the difference between the drawing of different patterns. So the left-hand side is about drawing. So in the drawing, we can see there is only one layer. So we're drawing on the paper. So in the dog pok technique, there are 3 layers. The first one is about the drawing, and then carving, and making the measure. So we need to carving to shape and then we put on a wall whether we want to make it to make it golden, and to put this about which is about the difference between the drawing and dog pok technique. So next is about the preliminary information about the project that we want to do. So we are going to meet the community, the Chumkhong community, which is the village is located in the city of Luang Prabang, which is total areas of 23,000 square, and with total 180 families. In the north, they share the birds with Siangmuan, and also share the birds with Jampusi. So it used to be Chumkhong. It used to be Banyai. Since the king handed over the drum to the village, that's why they make a shape of the Buddhas using this. Now that's why we call it Chumkhong. This village is very abundant in terms of the preserving the traditions, and also located within the World Heritage of the UNESCO. So according to the interview that we have conducted with interview, they told the story about the preservations of the dog pok techniques. So we have consolidated the input. There's people who are in the dog pok because there is no source of information. They also the soft are learning how to develop dog pok and pattern. So the community has the heritage, but they lack incentive to disseminate to the other community. They're also concerned about the preservation and transformation of dog pok because the new generation do not know the significant importance of the dog pok technique. So with respect to the challenges that were presented by my colleagues, so our project has the chance to talk with the people, with the community, and we discuss. So based on these challenges, we want to improve and address this issue to bring benefit to the society. So we have the objective we have 4 objectives of this project. The first one is to go to field work and to study importance and significance of the background of the dog pok, and also the value of the dog pok in order to document, and second, to study the changes and the militant patterns that we can collect from different temples and all over locations to study the dog pok technique process, carving, drawing, and coloring, and the whole process. And the last objective is to promote the staff or the personnel who are going to take over these traditions as a way to link these public techniques to the sustainability. So in the beginning, we could collected the information about the dog pok and we come up with 8 different egg patterns. The first one is about the gods, the telling the Lamakin story, the animal, The third one is about the key and the flowers like Kua and different. And last one is about the patterns about our plants and the flowers. So we also could examine and collect the different patterns and the different temples like Siang Tuong, Wat Sen Temple, Bit Sun Temple, Hon Siang Temple, Wat Siang Man Temple, Wat Kok Kap. So we could collect different patterns of from 8 temples in Luang Prabang. So from the survey that we have conducted and collect data from the community from different temples. So in terms of the Kopok pattern, it has really great significance. One is the ISH value, because it is about the know-how and the solidarity of the community that is linked to the historical value. For the historical value, these Kopok patterns tell us the story about the story about the streamline of the villages, and it therefore reflects the cooperation and the sharing up to now. We also they have artistic value. In terms of artistic value, it shows the delicateness, the passions of the artist or of the craftsman in the village, because it can be representative the lesson from the Buddha. We also have education value. For education value, it refers to the literature and reflects the religions, the precept from the God, and we can transmit the tradition to the. We also and sentimental value, because it's a sacred. Because if you look at the temple, you can see on the wall of the temple many patterns of the Pok. We can justify that this place is a real temple, and contribute the pride of the people to have the real temple. Based off from the short-term data collection, so we will learn the significant importance, and we also learn the different patterns of the dog park techniques, including traditional or the new patterns. We also learn the background of the community and different patterns of dog park. We also learn the value of dog park, that how they can reflect it. So finally, we community agree that the pork need to be preserved and conserved, and to transmit it for the new generation to know the identity, the invaluable identity of this pork technique. So this led to the idea to promote and preserve these traditions. Based on the idea, we have the chance to discuss with people in the village and the community. We have planned the activities that we want to run. The first one, to collect data on the details of the patterns of dog park, the methodology, the means used, the importance to document all this information. Secondly, we want to record as a video and to produce the short documentary films presenting the process for the dog park techniques, to publish a book and to record the different patterns of the dog park, and telling the significance, and using the social media as a means to disseminate, for the promotion through Facebook, as to access to outreach the young people online. And the fifth one, and to provide the information back to the community. So next is about the plan of activities that we expect to do to promote this dog park. The first one, we are going to spend 3 months for data collection, then book publication is about 3 months, dissemination to Facebook 2 months, and disseminate the information to public for to the 2 months. So we are going to spend 1 year and we are going to use the $20,000. So it's about the reference that we used for this to prepare this project. Thank you. Thank you. ก็ถือว่าเป็นอีกกลุ่มหนึงนะที่ว่า
And since I know that at the U.S. embassies, you also have the ambassador funds for cultural preservation, which has supported similar projects before. So for this project, may I also invite Mr. Greg to give the feedbacks first, followed by ท่านแสงทองfrom the Luang Prabang World Heritage Office. Please, Mr. Greg, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'm fine doing that. That was a great presentation. Thank you so much. Another very interesting aspect of cultural heritage that I think, frankly, a lot of people are very familiar with, but don't know a lot about it, if that makes any sense, right? So I think so many people from all around the world have seen this aspect of Luang Prabang cultural heritage, Lao cultural heritage, but the awareness of what the different symbols, designs all mean is probably quite low. And so it seems like a really worthwhile project to me. But again, I acknowledge that I'm still I'm learning a lot about Laos and Lao culture. All of the activities also seemed very reasonable to me. I think the timeline seemed a little bit ambitious. 2 months to do an appropriate documentary film might be shorter than you want, depending on how long you're looking at, how long of a film you're looking at, and what exactly you're looking to document. But of all the things that you mentioned as the activities that you'd like to undertake, seemed very worthwhile and quite realistic, and I think would be also very popular. Again, speaking kind of on behalf of folks who are relative novices to Laos or possibly tourists to Laos as well. So all that to say, thank you very much for an interesting presentation, and look forward to hearing about possible future steps of a program like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. เดี๋ยวนะคะเอ้ยมณีเพชรยังอยู่บ่เข้าโดยสบายดีด้วยขอบใจหลายๆด้วยค่ะขอโทษนะคะเดี๋ยวให้เอ้ยมณีเพชร
Perhaps I will give the floor to UDP because Mr. Pitt has some engagement. So I will give the floor to Ms. Manipet first. So first of all, once again, I will congratulate the team for your very for your editing preparation presentation. I also learned a lot from your presentation. So in your presentation, I think the way you present it is very smooth. So because the slide you use, so it helps us for us to be easy to follow. So it's quite easy to follow and to understand and to read. So I get the feeling that you refer to the challenges. So I also agree with Mr. Greg from the timeline for running this project is quite ambitious. It's quite ambitious because we have a lot of activities to run, but I'm not sure whether the target groups. What is the target group in your? Perhaps you can explain more about the target groups. Because whether you want to stress the young people or the general youth, because we want the youth to know more about the pop culture techniques. The last comment is I also agree to use the social media to disseminate the information. What is a really good strategy to use the social media and to help us to disseminate the information. So because it doesn't mean to have the physical and information center, but we can use an online platform to disseminate the information. The last comment is about the cost amounting to $20,000. But I want to see more about the background of for each activity, how much it will be for each activity, because we can see more up. We can see have a better picture of how going to spend the money. So it's a fundamental comment I would like to share with you. So once again, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. And thank you for joining us in this meeting. I think that you have to go because you have some engagement. So thank you for joining us. But we please keep in touch. Also, I invite Mr. Sang Thong from the Luang Prabang World Heritage Office. Mr. Sang Thong.
ท่านแสงทองเปิดไมค์ด้วยเจ้า
Mr. Sang Thong, could you please unmute your microphone? So once again, good afternoon. I would like to thank the team for Somkiet for presenting the dog POC techniques, which is the new knowledge for me because I just learned from your presentation. And I also learned from a lot from your group. As we know that Luang Prabang city is a city, is a World Heritage Site, and there's a lot of diversified culture and traditions. So the most authentic traditions of Luang Prabang is an identity, the ratio, and the structure, the use of raw materials, and also the decorations in the temple. So beside the decorations in the temple, and the gates, the pillars, the roofs, and also it's also linked to the dog POC techniques that you presented. I also saw in your presentation that the transmission of or the use of knowledge, the wide use of knowledge. I would like to advise the team to collect the data in the Sakunsang in Siangwon, because in Luang Prabang we have the fine art school that works on the fine arts or the patterns. So perhaps you need to get the data from these two entities, from the fine art school. I would like to stress on the drawing or the carving is very important before we go to the POC technique using. The most important is about the drawing techniques or the copying of the mud patterns, but it requires a skillful man. So you need to graduate from the fine arts school. If it's about the person who doesn't have the skill, of course it will affect the quality of the patterns, where there might be some mistake. So in terms of the copying is a very important step. And of course carving technique is also important because in the right place, whether it should be the gate or pillar, of course it will be the way how we can properly transmit the techniques and to the right place. Furthermore, in practice that we in the practical renovations work, normally the most important step is about the dog POC. Some craftsmen do not understand the outstanding features of the patterns. So that's why sometimes they use some materials that will cover the patterns. For example, because what is very charming for the drawing. The drawings have its own charms, but if you put a dog POC, if you don't understand the techniques, you put some materials on the drawing because they want to speed up. They want to speed up the process. They put the golden pictures. Of course, they will affect the patterns. It will affect the charms of the dog POC. Though perhaps I would like to request the team to look at the process of the drawing, carving, and POC to follow the proper procedure in order to preserve and conserve the dog park techniques, and especially the charms of dog park techniques. The most important, the one is going to carve, is going to draw, need to have the knowledge and competency to do that. The second one, they needs to have the patience and delicateness. If you are not patient, you are not delicate, because if you want to finish the work quickly, of course, it will affect the quality of the dog park techniques. So in doing the dog park techniques, if you want to keep the value, we need to use to pay attention of the use of color, but not because not because the paint, because we can see the difference with using using the painting for painting a house and the painting using for dog park techniques, because after we paint because by using the proper techniques, we can show the charms of the drawing and keep the feature, the outstanding features of the park. Of course, we can see the clear difference between using the painting for the house and painting for the dog park. So in terms of the transmission techniques, in addition to having man craft, but I also we agree with the team, we need to develop a book or manual or textbook. You may consolidate the different patterns of the dog park and